Hi, this is the chapter on misplaced and dangling modifiers, and these help you avoid confusing descriptions. So don't worry if you've never heard of a modifier, you're not sure what they are, we'll go through it. It's actually a nice short chapter, and I think it's really useful for a lot of people because these problems are common, but once you know about them, they're kind of easy to fix. So this is one of my favorite chapters to teach and also to see because it's rewarding because students get this information and now you know how to edit for misplaced and dangling modifiers. So let's first talk about what they are. So modifiers are words or word groups that describe other words in a sentence. Okay, so think about it like modifying means to change something or to add something to something. Okay, so the rule is they should really be near the words they modify. Otherwise, sometimes it can be funny or sometimes it can be confusing. So in this one, it's actually kind of funny because it says Linda saw the White House flying over Washington, D.C. This is next to White House. It's funny because it seems to us that the White House is flying over Washington, D.C. But the person we could guess meant Linda was the one flying over Washington, D.C. So it's much more clear if you put it next to the thing or person that you're modifying. So in this case, you move that modifying phrase over next to what it's modifying. Sorry, not what, but who it's modifying. Right. Flying over Washington, D.C., Linda saw the White House. Now that makes sense because she was in an airplane and the White House wasn't flying. Okay. So you want to put the modifier as close as possible to a word or words it modifies. Okay. So usually directly before it. So for example, I went outside to get the paper wearing my bathrobe. It sounds like the paper is wearing your bathrobe. But that's not what you meant. You meant wearing my bathrobe. I went outside to get it. Okay, so these four constructions that are troublemakers. Okay, they often lead to misplaced modifiers. Okay, the first one is modifiers such as only, almost, hardly, nearly, and just. These words need to be right before, not just close to, the words or phrases they modify. And this is sometimes hard for students because when we speak, we don't do it correctly. Okay, so it's not I only found two old photos, it's I found only two old photos because we are modifying two old photos. So this should not be I only found, but in speaking, I think most people think it sounds fine, but that's not what you should do. You should make sure that you are modifying, putting these words only, almost, hardly, nearly, and just right before the thing that they are modifying. So let's take a look at some other examples. Joanne almost ate the whole cake. You can't almost eat something. You either eat or you don't eat, right? But we're talking about Joanne ate almost the whole cake. She did not almost eat. She ate, but she almost ate the whole cake. No, no, wrong. She, see, I'm speaking, it sounds right, but it's not right. Joanne ate almost the whole cake. Because the idea is she didn't almost eat, she did eat almost the whole cake. And here's another one. Thomas nearly spent 2 hours waiting for the bus. That's not good. Should be Thomas spent nearly 2 hours waiting for the bus. Okay, because those words then are not modifying the verbs, they're modifying the things. So all of those should be right before. The next one that causes problems are prepositional phrases. Let's take a look at our original sentence. It says, the cashier found money on the floor from the cash register. It's also just kind of confusing because it's the money from the cash register. Yeah, it is, but it sounds like floor from the cash register, so it's not close enough to what it's modifying. It's modifying money. So you have to move it to where it's what it's really modifying. So the cashier found money from, the cashier found money from the cash register on the floor. The next one, it's again intentionally funny because it says Jen served punch to the seniors in plastic cups. It sounds like the seniors are in plastic cups. So again, it sounds funny and silly and awkward. So how did she serve the punch? In plastic cups. Okay. So you need to put that right where it's from. Another trouble spot is modifiers that start with gerund or ing verbs. So our original sentence was Darlene started the car using jumper cables. But the car isn't using jumper cables, Darlene was, right? So move that to closer to what's really doing the thing. Using jumper cables, Darlene started the car. And then this one, Javier climbed the mountain wearing flip-flops. It sounds like a mountain is wearing flip-flops. So you have to put who's wearing flip-flops? Javier. Javier was a very daring soul. He wore flip-flops when he climbed the mountain. So we want to express it that way. Wearing flip-flops, Javier climbed the mountain. And finally, the trickiest one, these relative clauses. Modifiers, clauses that start with who, whose, that, or which. We want to make sure that we put these phrases as close to the thing that we're modifying as possible. Because a lot of the time people put it in the wrong place and it just makes it confusing or unclear. So our original sentence is, Joel found the computer virus attached to an email message that was infecting my hard drive. So in this case, we think the email message was infecting the hard drive, but it's not. It's the virus. So we have to move that phrase next to what it actually is doing it. So corrected sentences, Joel found the computer virus that was affecting my hard drive. Attached to an email message. And this original sentence is the baby on the bus who was crying with curly hair. It sounds like the bus was crying right now. The baby who was crying. So that's why you have to move that phrase next to the thing that's doing the action. Okay, so we're going to go to our handout. Oh, sorry, not yet. The real rules are, yeah, we are, sorry. But the rules are just to make sure with those special words, they have to go before what they're modifying, right? Right before, directly before. So we're going to practice that one with the first one, right? So first we have so find and correct misplaced modifiers in the following sentences. Here's the example. Here's the corrected. So I write things in my blog that I used to only tell my friends. We didn't only tell. We tell only my best friends. So that was only and nearly and just and what's the other one? Almost. There you go. You need to go right before what you're modifying. So these are all incorrect sentences, and you have to fix them all. So here it says, I write in my blog. I write things in my blog that I used to tell only my best friends. Okay. So this one's really specific. Just find those words and make sure you put them before what they're modifying. Okay. Moving on. So those were misplaced modifiers. Dangling modifiers, it's called dangles because the word or words are just not in the sentences. It's like something's missing. So here's an example. Rushing to class, the books fell out of my bag. We're assuming it's the person was rushing to class, right? But here it sounds like the books are rushing to class. So we don't have the modifier, so we need to add the modifier. Okay. So rushing to class, I dropped my books. Rushing to class, my books fell out of my bag. That's no, while I was rushing to class, my books fell out of my bag. That would work too. Okay. They changed it a lot differently because the main thing that's important is that you have the rushing to class. It's not the books, it's I, right? Or another subject, a person. Usually appear at the beginning of a sentence and seem to modify the thing about after it. They just really aren't. Here's another example. Trying to eat a hot dog, my bike swerved. It sounds like your bike is eating a hot dog. Obviously, your bike is not eating a hot dog. So instead, you have to fix it with trying to eat a hot dog. I swerved on my bike. Okay? Because you're the one who's trying to eat a hot dog, not your carnivorous bike. Okay, and the original sentence here is trying to eat a hot dog. My bike swerved off. You could also add a word being modified in the opening modifier itself. While I was trying to eat a hot dog, my bike swerved. It's still kind of, yeah, well, that's okay. The bike swerve is about. That's fine because we have a subject there. Okay. All right, so in this one, I'm going to show you this example here because it's easier to read. Here it says, invited my whole family to dinner. The kitchen was filled with all kinds of food. Um, we're missing who, right? Inviting, we don't know who invited. So it's dangling. So you have to add, because I had invited my whole family to dinner, right? After I had invited my whole family to dinner, right? Well, you just have to make sure that you add subject. Because you can't have a dangling modifier, which is nothing, it's not modifying this. It's not really modifying. It's missing. But be careful because some of them are correct. Okay, so some of them are correct. So on your on your practice 2 here, find and correct any dangling modifiers in the following sentences. So if it's correct, write a C next to it, okay? Now, also, it may be necessary to add words or new ideas. So don't worry if you change them a lot. Just make sure that you have clear things that they're modifying. Okay, so like if you take a look at, remember some of these might be right. Let's take a look. Preparing a big family dinner out of the oven stopped working. So what do you think? Do you think this is incorrect? Preparing a big family dinner and the oven suddenly stopped working. I guess the oven is not preparing a big family member. I'm sorry, big family dinner. A person is, right? So you could say, my as we were preparing a big family dinner, the oven stopped working. That's all I have to do. Don't get too worried about it, just to make sure that it makes sense. Okay, so some of these are correct, right? So here's an example. I don't want to give you the easy one. It's too easy. I think you'll get it. But using a credit card, Carmen ordered 6 pizzas. That one's correct because who's using a credit card? Carmen is. It's fine. Okay, so 7 is correct. So you just write C. And then so you just write C and you don't even have to write anything else. That's it. Okay. Well, this seems pretty funny. With one quick phone call, 6 large pizzas solved our problem. Did the Phelps pizzas make the phone call? Okay, see how you kind of get it pretty quickly, especially with the dangling ones, because nothing, the thing that's being modified isn't there. Okay, is that it? My goodness, no, there's more. So this one's a long one. Let me see if there's anything else in the book before you go on to it. Um, no, there isn't. So with this one, you just find and correct any misplaced or dangling modifiers. So they're both. Okay, so take your time, really think about it. And this is a useful one to have early because it's one that people, as an writing concern, that grammar concern, that people tend to have trouble with the beginning, but then just refer back to this lesson and remember that you shouldn't have dangling modifiers and you shouldn't have misplaced modifiers. Dangling modifiers is a bigger error, at least with misplaced modifiers. At least you're telling us, well, it could be confusing us, but just make sure that you don't have any dangling modifiers. Okay, so for this one, I'll show you the handout. I gave an example because this is long. You don't have to rewrite the whole thing. I just want you to rewrite ones that have trouble, okay? That are either have dangling modifiers or misplaced modifiers. And I just highlighted the first one for you. So the first sentence, just have to read through it. And if you find a sentence with a dangling modifier or a misplaced modifier, please copy it and paste it here, and then copy it again and then fix it. Okay, so that's how I want you to do it. So let's just go ahead and read until limits two. So, okay, so carrying overfilled backpacks is a common habit, but not necessarily a good one. Okay, this is fine, right? It's fine. The next sentence, bulging with books, water bottles, and sports equipment and weighing an average of 14 to 18 pounds, students' backs can gradually come back. Well, this is a problem here because it's a dangling modifier, right? Because here it's not modifying students' backs, it's modifying backpacks. So you have to find some way to put in that this part is backpacks, right? So here we see, you don't have to, isn't the only answer, but it's an example. Bulging of books, water bottles, and sports equipment and weighing an average of 14 to 18 pounds, students' backpacks can gradually cause damage to their backs, okay? And that's one way to do it because, and also you can rewrite it sorry, in a bigger way, but or a different way. But the whole idea is that this first phrase, this whole phrase is modifying backpacks, not backs. Okay, so you just look through all of those. Okay, all right, and turn it in. Good luck. All right, thank you so much.